Yearly membership dues for cadets are about $40, but they say that's a great bargain because the flying is free with their parents' permission. Typically, to rent a similar plane and hire an instructor to learn to fly privately would cost about an average of $150 per hour. But for these young cadets, the Air Force picks up the cost. That's because CAP says fueling these young aviators' ambition in flight is priceless. Each cadet is entitled to 5 orientation flights, each one designed to teach a different aspect of flying.
What a great deal for a young man or woman, cadet who can get basically 5 hours of free flying on the Air Force.
To earn a private pilot's license, you need to log about 40 hours of flying time. Most of that will be with an instructor.
These orientation flights are designed just as an orientation. If they want to, when they finish these, if they want to go ahead and start logging time, that's the next step, and that's when you'd go hook up with a certified flight instructor, a senior member, and then you could start logging time and practicing towards your private pilot certificate.
It would cost an average person between $4,000 to $6,000 in plane rentals, instructor fees, and fuel costs just to log the flight time. But for CAP cadets, the cost is much less. In most cases, the cadet can work with a certified flight instructor and pay about $60 per hourly flight, cutting the cost of earning their license in half. That's about $2,500. That includes access to books, pilots, and the airplanes.
Now, what is the difference of pressure?
High pressure.
Yes.
High pressure over here and under the wing and low pressure above.
What makes high pressure under the wing and low pressure on top of the wing?
The curvature.
The curvature of what?
The wing.
Okay.
This is a Saturday ground school class for the cadets. Here they are learning about parts of the plane and checking its safety before taking off.
What 3 instruments are part of what we call the pedostatic system? What?
Airspeed.
Airspeed indicator is one.
Altitude.
Altimeter is the other. And what's associated with the altimeter? Vertical speed indicator.
Ron Badinsky and Eric Sachs are 2 other cadet orientation pilots. They say CAP lets them share their flight experiences with those eager to learn.
Cadet flying is one of the best parts about being in Civil Air Patrol. They get a chance to go in this aircraft, and we let them have the controls. We demonstrate what the controls do. We teach them about flying and actually get them up in the air. I think it's a phenomenal opportunity. I think the kids love it. Cool.
Starting with the very first flight, which is just to acquaint them with flying, with what a pilot does in terms of checking out the airplane.
Pilots say the ground school portion of flight training is critical. Understanding the parts of the aircraft is just as important as knowing how to fly it. Civil Air Patrol was founded on December 1st, 1941, just 7 days before the attack on Pearl Harbor.
A date which will live in infamy.
CAP's main mission back then was patrolling the U.S. coast to spot German U-boats. CAP planes are credited with sighting several enemy submarines and in 2 cases sinking them by dropping torpedoes. After the war, it was made the auxiliary of the United States Air Force. Today, the organization has more of a supporting role. Its 3 main missions are emergency services and aerospace education, along with the cadet program.
This organization, Long Island Group, Civil Air Patrol, was an active participant when JFK's plane went down in searching for his aircraft. But we were also very instrumental in taking reconnaissance photos when the Pine Barrens were on fire a few years ago, also with Flight 800.
To the Civil Air Patrol, aviation isn't just fun and games. It's a very serious part of what they do. In fact, this plane right here, the commander says was involved in a very serious mission about 4 years ago.
This aircraft here is the aircraft that took the reconnaissance photos the day after 9/11 of Ground Zero. All those photos you saw in the paper.
Another goal of the Civil Air Patrol is giving back to the community through service projects, which they say also develops a sense of civic responsibility in its young cadet members.
Also, we're involved, for example, in Keep Islip Clean, cleaning up the neighborhood here around group headquarters.
Members also assist in disaster relief efforts, either directly or through fundraising efforts as it is doing here, raising thousands of dollars for Hurricane Katrina victims.
Swing it to the right. Which right? To the right.
As part of its aerospace education goal for these young pilots in training, CAP assists in aviation events on Long Island. Here they are helping out the Bayport Aerodrome, which restores antique aircraft. In return for their help, the aerodrome took them up for a ride in their restored biplanes.